What is up, folks? Today we are going to look at my totally portable, removable kayak fish finder, how I set it up, how you can set it up, and you can use it. I use it through a scupper hole. Now, I have the Old Town Predator PDL. It has a scupper hole in the front, specially made for a fish finder, but I didn't want to drill in the hole. I didn't want to mount anything to the kayak itself because sometimes I don't have a garage or anything to put my kayak in, so I try to take everything out of it and then just chain it up so that if someone did steal it, they wouldn't steal a bunch of stuff. So I try to take everything out of it. So I needed a solution that I could do that with. So first of all, I've been wanting a fish finder for a long time. I fish the Guadalupe a lot, but we got Canyon Lake, we got Brawning Lake, we got Calaveras. You've got a lot of deep water lakes around here that just look like water. There's not a lot of structure out there like there is in the river. And if you don't have a fish finder, you are legitimately blind casting in acres and acres and acres of water. And that's just not fun. So we got the striper run, the white bass run. We've got redfish in Brawning and Calaveras, and they all school up in deep water. And if you don't have some type of electronics to find them, it's a needle in a haystack. And I actually did a trip out to Brawning Lake, and I trolled rattle traps the whole day. And I didn't have a fish finder or anything. I just was trolling across the middle of the lake all day long. I didn't get a nibble. So I knew immediately I was going to have to do something different. So this is what I did. I ended up getting the Humminbird Piranha Max 4 DI. I wanted one with the down imaging because I wanted to be able to see more than just sonar. I wanted to be able to see structure and how it was laid out. Kind of get a underwater image of what was below me. I always thought I was always fascinated by it. So I was like, if I'm going to get a fish finder, I'm going to get one that's got the stuff on it that I want. I didn't want to spend $600 or $700 for something with side imaging and all this kind of stuff because I knew that I'm new to a fish finder. I mean, it's like you don't walk out and spend, $400 on your very first reel trying to get a bait caster. You start out with a Zebco 808 and you work your way up. So this is my Zebco 808 of a fish finder. So we've got the unit. How do you power the unit? Well, of course you power it with a battery, right? I got the Berkeley Power Pack, I believe it's called. It is 12 volt, 2.3 amp hours. I looked at the stuff for the Humminbird. This pulls 180 milliamps an hour. I went to a website that did the math for that. Basically, this guy can run this for like 11 hours. I don't really do a whole lot of 11-hour fishing trips, so I was like, hey, that'll probably work. It's got the posts on it already. It's actually got a little USB port on there, and then you just plug it into the wall to charge it. It came with the charger cable. It's pretty much, you got it and you're good to go. So this is my power source. Can run this thing for 11 hours on it. And push come to shove, if I needed to charge my phone or action camera or whatever on the water, I have that option too with this. So I kind of thought it was a good idea to get that one. It was on sale at Academy for $39.99. So I think regularly they're $49.99. So it's a good deal in my opinion all the way around. This is the power cord they send with the unit. Plugs in the back, pretty simple there. You've got, I think it's 6 foot of cable. But the power cord comes with your too hot and your ground wire or neutral wire, and they're stripped. So it just goes to the sheathing, goes to about here, and then you've got this and this, and it's just a little bit of exposed copper. So I wanted something different. So I got these little clips at Walmart. I think they were like $4. So you basically pull that off. I'm sure you all know this. You crimp your line in right here. bada bing, bada boom. And then I take it up under that. I wrapped it around and just kind of squeezed it. Put that back on. Same thing for this one. And I can just clip this to the battery. And it's easy on, easy off. So that's how I power the unit. So that was pretty straightforward. Now comes the more difficult part, which was the transducer. I needed a solution to be able to put the transducer up under my kayak, secure it, and then when I'm done, take the whole thing out and take it inside and not have to drill any holes, or I want to use glue, or I didn't want to use any of that stuff. I want it to be totally removable. So this is what I came up with. This is a 3/4 inch piece of PVC. It's the same thing I used for the kayak light video, except that was 1/2 inch. This is 3/4, it's a little bit thicker. So it will actually, it's obviously, as you can see, it's big enough for me to run the end of the power cable through it all the way out. So the power cable is inside of the PVC. Then I took the PVC pipe, which it's still threaded. This end is threaded just like this end. I left the threads, everything on it. And I went about a 1/2 inch up in the pipe and I drilled a hole straight across. Okay, just straight across. And then I went to Lowe's and I got these brackets. That's what they look like. Got a hole on this side, a hole on that side. Same thing. From where I drilled the hole, I ran a screw through, and then I put a nut on this end. It's all wrapped in electrical tape right now because it helped secure it too. But basically you have a screw going through this piece of PVC, and it's going through the 2 silver brackets. Then the silver brackets drop down, and that's when on these 2 bottom holes, I just put it, and this was actually the bolt that came with the transducer to mount it to the plate that was sent with it, but I just couldn't use that. So ran that screw through this, through the middle of the transducer, out the other one of these plates, tightened it with this bolt, got it exactly positioned how I want, and I wrapped the whole thing with electrical tape. So now it's completely secure. It does have a little wiggle, which I wanted, because when it goes up under the kayak, I wanted it to be able to kind of conform to the shape of that groove that's built in on the Old Town Predator. So it goes up, and then it can kind of shift how it needs to fit up against it snug. After I get it up through the scupper hole, I have a piece of a pool noodle that I thread over the whole thing, and the pool noodle fits very tightly over this shaft, and I put the pool noodle on and it holds it up under the kayak, and it is completely removable. It requires no drilling or gluing or anything to your kayak. I can put it on and I can take it off when I'm done. So let's go outside and I will actually show it to you on my kayak, and I will show you how it looks on there, and I'll show you me disassembling it and taking it off. Okay, so here you have it. The finished product has been installed in its temporary capacity on the boat. So here is the transducer, what the transducer is mounted to. If you look under here, especially on the Old Towns, you have this little shielded area, almost like a hole, that this transducer fits up in perfectly. My issue was, how can I get this transducer in there, get it straight, and have it secure without actually drilling it into the kayak, because I wanted something totally removable. And this is what I came up with. Let me undo this from the back of the fish finder. I'll pull it out and I'll show you how I did this. It's actually really simple. So here's the power transducer. I'm gonna take that out. They give you a whole lot of cable with this, so we're gonna stretch that part out here. Okay, I got my pool noodle. Hopefully you can see this. I'm just gonna slowly pull this pool noodle off there. Now this probably will require you changing out your pool noodles every once in a while, but I mean, you're only using what, 10 inches of it, so you can take a pool noodle and cut it into 10-inch segments and have plenty of refills. So we unthread this. I really wish I could figure out a way to shorten this. That's gonna kind of be a pain, but it is what it is. So we pull that all the way out. Like so. Let me slide this down some. There we go. So we got the cable out, and out the bottom comes our transducer mount. This is what the transducer is mounted to. I've got power cable coming up through this. It goes up through the scupper hole. The pool noodle goes all the way across, and the pool noodle goes down and holds it in place underneath the kayak, and it is a perfect fit. And when I'm done, I'll just take it out. Transducer's taken off the boat. Power cable's taken off. Battery's taken out of the boat. And screw this. And the unit is taken off. It's got mud all over it. And that's it. The only thing that stays is my base, so that if I want to put it back on. I was actually going to look at a way to mount this on a one of the rails, because I've got an extra one of the T-slides. So I might end up doing that, maybe. I don't know. I mean, it worked really good right here. So yeah, that's the whole setup right there. And after I'm done with it, it's totally removable. I don't leave a fish finder out in my yard. Okay, we got it all installed. We're on the water. You can see I got my transducer holder coming up through here. I got the pool noodle on it. It's secure. I've got my extra transducer wire there. Inside here, I've got that little portable battery. I just tied those around it to hold it still. I've got my clips on there. And as you can see right here, we're doing it. Let's get out here in some water. Okay, we are in 11 to 12 foot of water here. Temperature 71. It's marking fish. You don't really never know actually if those are fish or not. That it tries to mark them the best that it can. But I mean, it could be other things in the water besides fish making a mark. But this is the Sonar Mode. You can see your color palette. Your hardest part, your hardest bottom is going to be your dark red, all the way to a softer bottom that's yellow, and then you get a mixture here. I don't know what this stuff is. I'm assuming since this water's so dirty from all the rain and floods we've had, that's probably a lot of that kind of stuff going under the transducer. But we also can go view sonar, down imaging. All right, now we're going into down imaging, which was really the reason why I got this. And you see right now, we're just basically setting on flat bottom. Not a lot of features down there. 11 foot of water. I have the depth range set on auto. So this is basically the 15 down here is how deep it is scanning the whole thing. So it's scanning to 15 foot deep. I'm in 12 foot of water, so 3 foot of it is just bottom. And then you see where that starts, and this is actually your water column. So sometimes if I drop off from, say I go to 16 or 17 foot here, this will increase to 20 or 25 to make sure everything stays together. I think there's some logs and stumps up here. I'll try to get to them and we can mark them, and I'll show you what it looks like. Here's something here you can see where we're coming up. We were in deeper water. We were in 11, 12 foot. You see we're coming up. So now we're only in 8 foot of water now. And you can see that instead of it being 15 foot like before, now this is only reading down to 12 foot because we're in shallower water. So this will, and you can see where it kind of puts a break, which I'm not the biggest fan of, but I guess it is what it is. Whenever it changes the total, the max depth that the finder is going to be reading at. Did it again here. So now we're depth 10 foot total depth because we're only in 7 foot of water. Or if you don't like that, you can set it statically. Let's see, depth range here, I have it on auto. Let's take the depth range to just 15 foot. Go back. So now you can see that the depth range here is 15. So now it's going to stay 15 foot. We're in 11 foot of water. So now it won't change. If you're fishing, I don't know, around the same depth bottom, you might want to put it on that. If the bottom changes though, like this does a lot because it's a river, auto kind of helps. now you can kind of see here when you start to run over stuff on the bottom. That's probably a rock, maybe a log. I want to say rock. How it really does kind of paint a picture of what's under the boat. Here's some more stuff we've got. We come from just a smooth bottom. Got some rubble down here. And then if we want to go back to view sonar, you can look at the sonar. Depth range 15. So now it's saying there's some fish here. I think there's a bigger one down there. There's a small one. There's a bigger one. Might be a carp. But in this mode, you're not going to get as much detail on what's on the bottom. According to this, they're all through the water column here. Maybe I'll throw this jerkbait around for a little while. And that is how I put my fish finder on my kayak. I hope you enjoyed the video. I know it was a little redundant, but I wanted to explain it multiple times in multiple settings. I wanted you to see it here in pieces. I wanted you to see it on the kayak. I wanted you to see it being used and me kind of go over all the parts every time, so that you could kind of get a feel. That way, if you were going to do it yourself, hopefully you have a full understanding of how I did it. Just because I used it on my kayak through the scupper hole in the front doesn't mean if you don't have an Old Town, if you've got another brand kayak, you could do that. I mean, the same principle applies, and you just put it through whatever scupper hole you have available on the side of your kayak, or if you wanted it behind you or whatever. As long as you have a sit on top kayak like I do with scupper holes through it, you can do this. The Old Town scupper holes, I think, are an inch and a quarter. So they're fairly big, but I think most major kayaks like Hobie and all those have scupper holes about the same size. So if you haven't already, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, become a part of the channel. I'm getting close to 300 followers, subscribers, whatever you want to call them. So yeah, become a part of the group. Let's go do some things together, and drop me a comment if you try this method, some method close to this on your kayak. Drop me a comment. Let me know if it worked for you, how it worked for you, if my video was informative enough, or if you did something different. If you've got a better way that you did it, let me know and I'll try it too. So to everyone that's watching, thank you so much. I hope you have a great day, and I hope that if you get a fish finder, you throw it on your kayak too. Talk to y'all later. Bye.